Okay, hello folks, it's Jack here from Peach Guitars. Thanks for joining us on this video today. I wanted to throw a little bit of focus today on the great Custom 24 from PRS. Now if you've seen our videos before, you'll have noticed that we did a video focusing most recently on the limited edition special from PRS, and a little while ago as well John also did a nice in-depth feature on the DGT model from PRS. And yet up to this point we've never really focused too much on their flagship and what is essentially the quintessential PRS guitar and has been for the past 34 years, which is the Custom 24. So I wanted to do that today. So this guitar that I'm holding is a great example of the modern Custom 24, but we're actually really lucky to have a select piece of PRS history here in the shop, so I'm going to show you that first of all before we get into the video. Okay, so I wanted to pick this guitar out of our archive, which is specifically a 1985 model of the Custom 24. So what better way to start off a video where we're talking about this great guitar than to show you where it all started. So this guitar is quite different in a number of ways to the current production version of the Custom 24. But in general though, just looking at it and in hearing some of the tones that you're going to hear, not a whole lot's changed in the past 34 years, and that's just a testament to how great and reliable this model has proven to be for PRS guitars. So this is quite a special instrument. As I said, this is from the first year of production from PRS, so this is a 1985 Custom 24. And there's a few things that kind of, when you look under the surface of this guitar, are quite remarkable about it. Most notably, we've got a Brazilian rosewood fingerboard on this guitar, which of course nowadays is a complete rarity and something you're very, very lucky to stumble across. But back when this guitar was made, it wasn't really considered to be an issue at that time, the state of rosewood from Brazil. So it was readily available in guitars such as this. And the grain on it is absolutely fantastic. I couldn't say what it personally impacts on the tone, but it definitely does something. There's some magic in this guitar that you're going to hear in the clips I'm going to show you. The other big difference are the pickups. So when PRS first debuted this guitar, these were simply called the treble and bass standard edition pickups. They didn't really have any particular name or any particular characteristics that they offered. They were just designed for this guitar. And being that this was designed in 1985 and the kind of rigs that were typical back in the day, this is quite a bright sounding guitar, most probably designed to cut through the kind of multi-layers of gain and modulation and effects that were kind of standard issue at the time in most people's guitar tones. So it's quite a bright sounding guitar. The other thing you'll probably notice is that there's actually no tone control on this guitar. So this second rotary control after the volume control is actually a 5-position pickup selector. So it's a little bit difficult to know which pickup selection you're on without just being able to glance down at a blade switch like you can today, but it's quite a useful tool and it's quite a nice way to scroll through the different selections. The pickup selections are exactly the same to this day, so I'm going to walk you through what those are right now. So starting down in position 1, you've obviously got your bridge humbucker. Now position 2, you get the bridge humbucker combined with the neck in single coil mode, and those two are in parallel, so it's quite a nice open kind of chimey sound. Okay, so position 3. That's both pickups together. Position 4. Okay, so again, that's both pickups together, but in another variation of the split coil theme. I believe that's both pickups are split together in parallel. And then lastly, you've got your neck humbucker. Okay, so 5 really great, really usable sounds. And at the time that this guitar debuted back in '85, this was one of the first kind of production model guitars that implemented coil splits in such an effective way, and so effective, in fact, that the recipe hasn't changed in the whole time throughout the course of its production. So one other really interesting thing about this guitar that I happen to really like, and I didn't know what the switch did before I plugged this guitar in today, this little toggle switch here acts as basically like a little preset tone control. So for the lack of a tone control on the guitar, what this basically gives you is a mini filter that allows you to take out some of those high frequencies if you want to do. So that's really particularly useful on gain sounds, and when you use it, it really puts you in mind of some of those great PRS artists from back in the day, most notably perhaps Mr. Carlos Santana for that really thick kind of cocked wah, almost filtered mid-range sound. So I'm going to put a bit of gain on. I'm playing through a Mesa Boogie Triple Crown 50 amplifier, which is a really versatile amp, which is hopefully going to show you the full gamut of tones you can get out of a great guitar like this. So I'm just going to move to channel 3, which is the high gain channel, and show you the effects that that filter switch has on the bridge pickup. Okay, if I demonstrate the same thing on the neck pickup now, I think it has a bit more of a pronounced effect. Let me just show you that clean too really quickly. Okay, so you can hear the effect it has a little bit more clearly there on the clean tone. So this rotary switch was actually offered right up until about 2010, I believe, on PRS's custom line of guitars, and it wasn't until then that they changed to the blade switch that we now know. But I actually think it's quite a nice way to be able to cycle through your pickup selections, and you're actually inclined to not focus so much on where you are, and instead just pick the tone that sounds best to your ear, I think. Which is a bit of a different way of selecting your pickup choice, I think, but it's quite a nice musical way of doing things. So just to jump back on a few more features of this particular guitar, the tuners have changed over time, so of course now PRS have their own proprietary Phase 3 locking tuners. These tuners are both locking tuners as well, but these are actually designed in conjunction with Schala back in the day. So it's a bit of a novel take on the locking tuner design, and it's a little bit more cumbersome on the kind of headstock of the guitar. But they work very well. This guitar stays in tune absolutely perfectly, thanks also to the kind of lubricated nut that PRS have always used. Really great nuts in their guitars, so you have no tuning issues whatsoever. The tremolo system is also largely unchanged. You're up to the Gen 3 now of PRS's custom tremolo device that you'll see on the new Custom 24, but this is the original iteration, and it also works really, really well. And as for the great Brazilian rosewood on the fingerboard, if you're lucky enough to find a Custom 24 like this that was made before, I believe, about 1991, you'll probably find an example of Brazilian rosewood. It was after that point that they changed to the Indian rosewood that we now know. Okay guys, so I'm back now with the modern iteration of the Custom 24 guitar. And as I mentioned before, not a whole lot has changed. Its DNA is pretty much still there in this guitar that you can see carried across from the original 85 model, but a few important kind of modern changes have taken place over the course of its history. So most notably, we've got different pickups in this guitar now. So these are PRS's 85-15 pickups, which my belief is, as the name would imply, these were developed in 2015 to mark the 30th anniversary of the PRS Custom 24. So they're a little bit rounder sounding, they're not quite as bright and cutting as those original pickups were. Plus you also now obviously have the addition of the tone control to really fine tune the amount of high frequencies you get from them. There's also been upgrades to the tuners, which are now the Phase 3 locking tuners from PRS, and you've also got their Generation 3 tremolo system. So guitar absolutely perfectly stays in tune. You can really abuse this tremolo and you don't have to worry about any tuning issues whatsoever. So we've moved away from the Brazilian rosewood fingerboard, of course, and you've also got the trademark bird inlays on this guitar now, which some would say look better, some don't like them, but I think they're a really beautiful touch and very much a signature and staple of the Custom 24 guitar. So let me just play through a few of the tones. So I'm going to run through each of the pickup selections on the clean channel, and then I'm also going to play with some gain on the amp too. Okay, let's jump over to channel 2 of the amp, which has got a bit more gain on it. Okay, so in my opinion, I really love the tones that you can get out of the Custom 24. It's such a versatile guitar just with those different 5 positions you have from the different pickup configurations, but also the fact that the volume control cleans up so well. So you can hear I've got quite a heavy gain sound there, and just by rolling back on the neck pickup, it's still really, really clean and clear when I turn it down to about 4 or 5. Okay, so another note about this Custom 24, I would say, is considering its kind of typical makeup of the guitar, which is to say it's got a mahogany body and neck and a very highly figured, in most cases, maple top. That would put most people in mind of kind of classic Gibson counterparts, but it doesn't really sound like that. It's got very much its own voice, which is something that's so unique about it. It's a very bright and clear guitar. You can still get those nice thick sustaining mid-rangey tones, as you'll have heard in the original 85 guitar when I went to the high gain tones. But it's got a lot more clarity to it, and especially on those in-between positions, it remains really, really tight and clear even when you've got a ton of gain. So that's kind of why it's appealed to so many modern artists, as well as kind of classic vintage artists too. But particularly in more modern genres of music, the appeal that this guitar has is just how present it can remain in a mix, where you've got tons of gain and tons of effects. And I really like that kind of character in a guitar. So let me just show you some of the high gain tones with a bit of delay as well, so you can hear just how much it can cut through the mix, even when that mix is quite dense. Okay, so you'll have heard there just how clear this guitar remains in kind of the densest of guitar tones. So the last thing I'll say about this guitar is when it was originally unveiled, it wasn't really designed to compete with anything else on the market. Now everybody's familiar with the tones that Fender and Gibson guitars can give you respectively, and usually people kind of tend to settle in one camp or another in terms of their preferences for the way the necks feel and the tones you can get out of the guitar. But when this guitar came along in '85, it was really designed to sit right in the middle in pretty much every way imaginable. So the body shape was designed to be a takeoff of the kind of classic Fender lines, but also with a bit of extra thickness and the wood combination that you typically get from a Gibson guitar. So that would kind of appeal to both camps. The neck profile is their classic pattern. In this case it's the regular, but you also get the pattern thin profile, which is a little bit slimmer. And again, that kind of sits right in the middle. It's not as hefty as most Gibson necks would be. It's got a little bit more of the kind of slick comfort that Fender necks would afford you. And also the scale length sits bang in the middle as well of Gibson's typical 24 3/4 scale, and then you've got Fender's 25.5 inch scale. This is 25 inches, and that hasn't changed since day one. So being right in the middle, it really affords you the best of both worlds, so that when you go to those split coil sounds, you can get some fairly convincing Fender-y kind of tones. When you've got a bit more gain, it gives you that thickness that Gibson guitars would typically give you, but most importantly of all, it's developed its own unique voice. So to the guys that know about them and love them already, I'm sure this won't have changed your opinion of them whatsoever, but hopefully if you're unfamiliar with PRS guitars, or indeed their Custom 24 model, this is a bit of an insight into showing you just how versatile and appealing this guitar can be. Alright then guys, so thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed this insight into PRS's Custom 24 model. Hopefully we'll continue this lineage, because PRS is such a great modern guitar brand with so many significant models in their range. So if there's any others that you really like to know more details on, please leave us a comment down below and let us know what you'd like to see next. If you've enjoyed this video though, for the meantime, please give us a like below and comment with your thoughts as always. Remember to hit that subscribe button too and tap the bell icon right next to it so you'll be notified of all our future video uploads. And in the meantime, if you want any more info on PRS guitars, you can find it all out by going to peachguitars.com. So thanks so much for watching as always guys, take care and I'll see you next time. Cheers.